continuing on this week to talk about how you can optimize your brain. And today I want to talk a little bit about why you might have memory issues, how you can prevent memory issues. And this is so important because our understanding of the brain has evolved so much since I went to medical school. And now that we understand neuroplasticity, right, you can make new connections even when you're an older person. And that used to be not, we did not think you could do that. And so now, how do we really nourish, move, regenerate, cleanse your brain, get a new and a better brain, which can happen at any age? Well, I think the first thing that we need to understand is this idea of Alzheimer's that we have had, or memory, slow, gradual memory loss that is so common in our society. And I'm telling you, as we all get older, it's going to be even more common. It's probably more than one thing. Okay, there's probably not one genetic thing, right, that's causing Alzheimer's, even though we see this common pathology when we look at brains after people have died. We see this buildup of amyloid beta protein, right? And there's tests using how much of that is in the fluid around your brain to help determine if you have Alzheimer's or not. But I'm here to tell you that amyloid, what we're putting in our brain, that amyloid beta protein, is probably actually trying to protect us from something. Bum, bum, bum. And there's probably more than one reason that people have memory loss. And so when we're trying to learn how to turn around memory loss, is there going to be one magic bullet that does it? Very unlikely. Because what's happening with our brain, how well it's functioning as we get older, completely is depending on all of the things that have led up to that moment. For instance, how much brain reserve we have. And this week, another thing we're talking about is how you can develop brain reserve, right? You doing cross-lateral exercises, music, sight singing turns out to be extremely good for helping grow your brain, juggling, grow your brain, and you can still do that. And so we want to develop cognitive reserve so that as we have toxins, infections that affect our brain as we go through life, it's more likely that our brain will keep functioning. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of those things that can affect your brain function. Okay, and everyone wants to know, well, what are the big causes of memory loss, and are they reversible? And there's a beautiful book by Dale Bredesen, a physician and neurologist, called The End of Alzheimer's, which it should be required reading. Okay, so The End of Alzheimer's. Interesting thoughts on how Alzheimer's is probably more than one thing that looks this common way. It just looks like people are gradually losing their short-term memory. Interestingly, people keep that long-term memory. And it's thought that if we can possibly find all of the different contributors that are making a person not be able to remember well, and help all of those, support those systems, that we can, in fact, in some people, reverse Alzheimer's and get their memory back. So it's a pretty big thing. And as Dr. Bredesen was trying to differentiate the various kinds of memory loss, he came up with a few ideas. One was hot or inflammatory. Okay, that means if you have inflammation in your body, your brain doesn't work as well. You guys knew that because you're smart. Say, I'm smart. You are smart. You are smart. You knew that. If you're inflamed, your brain is not working good, right? Likewise, if you don't have enough growth factors and inputs, and that's the cold type, we call that atrophic. You aren't getting enough stimulation and support and nutrients and hormones in order to create those connections and to cultivate the baby neurons that are still growing in your head. Okay, so we just want to keep on realizing that we're growing baby neurons every day, even if you're older. And if we can create good habits, we're going to be able to help those baby neurons grow into adult neurons, right? Sweet. Who can guess what sweet is? Can you guess? That means sweet. That means glucotoxic. Too much sugar, and we know diabetes is a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. And what happens is if we have too much sugar, the sugar kind of sticks on places and makes it so it doesn't work. Okay, that's like break it down. Vile, this means toxicity. There are lots of toxins that can affect the brain function, heavy metals, environmental toxins, even things that are in your shampoos and that kind of thing. Cosmetics, we really want to try and use things that are as clean as possible. That goes for your cleaning supplies. We want to be breathing in clean air, drinking clean water, because the less we put into our bodies that is not good for us, the less we have to get out. Our body does have a natural system of detoxification, and the people whose system is not working as well are more likely to start to have brain trouble. Okay. Pale. So pale, we think about not enough blood flow, right? And for those of you who've had tiny little strokes or have a family member who's had tiny little strokes, vascular dementia is a kind of dementia or memory loss where people's brains not functioning as well because of poor blood flow. And this goes hand in hand with heart disease, cardiovascular disease, where the blood vessels kind of the plumbing gets clogged up. And we used to think it was fat causing this, but now it come to find a healthy diet can really help that. And we want to eat healthy fats, and we want to lower refined carbs and sugars and those processed foods. Okay. So then the last one is days, trauma to the head. You guys, if you're riding your bike, wear a helmet. The more times you hit the noggin, the more likely it is that you're going to have problems with the brain. It's a really delicate organ in there. That's why we've got a lot of bone around it. Okay, so put your helmet on. Okay, and I think it's worth considering whether or not we want to do sports that has repetitive head trauma, whether or not that is such a great idea when there's such clear evidence that repeated head trauma, whether it's heading a soccer ball, that's high velocity, you guys. If you're I'm sorry, I know I love watching soccer too. I love watching football. But these are not great for your brain if you're doing that. So these are the different types of problems that will lead to memory loss and can lead to Alzheimer's, okay? And if you understand this, you can be better informed. And this is sort of just going through them too. Again, so too much inflammation, too much glucose, not enough stimulation for growth and connection, too many hits to the head, too many toxins, and not enough blood flow. All right, so now that you know the things that are going to create issues in your life, how can you start to change things in your life so that these are less of an issue? Now, if you have diabetes, or if you have that big old sweet tooth that could lead you to diabetes later, beautifully, we have things that we can substitute in our diet that taste just as good, you guys. So I know I've been in that place where I've thought, how could I ever eat something besides ice cream and have that, that pure enjoyment? With time, you really can. We can let go of sugar. And I think it helps to realize that with sugar and processed foods, we are being duped by the food industry. They are trying to make stuff taste irresistible. And you don't want to be like led by the noose towards diabetes by their ability to have a food. They have these special people called food chemists. They come in and they create just the right amount of sweet and salt. So you have to keep eating it. And you don't want to be manipulated by them. No, no, no. You're too strong for that, right? So if we start to think of this like, whenever you see an advertisement that's like, oh, these people having fun, and then they're like drinking soda that's super high sugar, they're trying to link for you. They're trying to brainwash you. Okay. So don't be brainwashed into thinking that having fun has to have a high sugar drink, because it really does not. And if you notice, when you do indulge in something super sweet, it's the first bite that's really good. You don't even need to eat all of it, right? So it's the first bite that's good. And usually if we are eating something that we know is taking us down the wrong road, when we're done with it, we don't feel so great. Do you guys know what a sugar crash is? Have you ever felt like that sugar crash? Well, if you want to keep your brain, I'm telling you, how can you keep your brain? You don't want to eat a lot of sugar. Okay, so, and it just takes a little bit of time to detox from sugar. Usually in a week, the cravings will stop. I mean, I'm not saying you're not going to have some cravings at the beginning, but if you want to keep your brain long term, using like yummy, sweet tasting foods that are naturally sweet, like fruit. Fruit is great, right? You can have all the fruit you want, fruit and vegetables. Once again, I'm going to put a plug in for vegetables because nobody's eating enough. You are not eating enough unless you're my husband, because I think he is eating enough vegetables. Okay, well, it's enough trying to womp on that. Increasing growth and connection. Okay, so this is where we want to try and make sure our hormones are balanced. Okay, so I don't know who you're working with as a physician, might be me, might be somebody else, but we need to have balance of hormones because hormones actually provide growth factors for our neurons. When we look at what turns on the signals that makes us make that dastardly protein that causes Alzheimer's, we know that if we're not getting enough growth signals, that switch will kind of turn to on and start to make the protein that you don't want to make, right? So how do we keep it to the off? So keep it off, switched off. The way we do that is by getting hormone balance, right? And that is super involved with a healthy, nutritious diet. Also, exercise can help with hormone balance. Trying to make sure you have enough of the nutrients and you're getting toxins out. Then the other way that we support growth and connection, we're going to be talking more about that tomorrow. We're going to do our like super duper brain protocol, how you can exercise your brain every day, right? So, but today, know that there are specific exercises that you can work all the different parts of your brain so that they are going to get stimulated. Music is a great way to stimulate your brain, and it really is true. Juggling is also way fun way to stimulate your brain. Those games like Lumosity and Brining, cross-lateral exercises that we did a little bit of yesterday, and then just engaging in life and saying yes. Let's say it now. Yes. Say yes. Yes. Say it again. Yes. Okay. Yes. Good job, you guys. Way to say yes. All right. So next thing I want to mention is toxins, and I've seen a lot of people way sick from toxic exposures. There's a lot of controversy around whether or not mold gives you memory problems. Guys, it totally does give you memory problems. I mean, it is serious. So if you're in mold, you got to get out. And then in general, we need to be opening our drainage. If you're constipated, we have to work with that. We have to work through that issue to the other side where you have a normally working gut. Because if poop sits inside you, it's toxic poop. That's how we're getting waste products out. And our bile, our gallbladder is squirting, if you have one, but you're making bile that goes into the intestine that has toxins that you need removed. And if it just hangs out in there, those toxins can be reabsorbed back into your body. So we have to make sure that we are sweating. And those of you who haven't sweated for a long time, for me, that's a signal that there's some kind of toxicity there. We need to sweat it out. We need to poop it out. And also, in conventional medicine, we don't talk that much about binders. Naturopaths, they know the samurai way of binders. These are ways that you can gently pull toxins out of your body on an ongoing basis, okay? And I feel like it's part of just hygiene to take some binders. And that's something to discuss with your doctor, but you want to gradually pull these out. If you wait until you've got Alzheimer's, then it is harder. Then it's harder. And if you're slowly, as you start to come awake and realize that that you're not immortal, that's the time to go, okay, how can I prevent this from happening as I get older, right? What can I do? And certainly there's biotechnology, there's gadgets that can help with your detoxification too. So I want to put a plug in there for detoxification through biotechnology. Okay, blood flow to the head and protecting the head. I touched on this before, but Dr. Goggin says, protect your noggin. Okay. Both Dr. Goggins. My husband's a family doctor too. Protect your noggin, because it's just something that it's preventable, right? Wear a helmet when you're, doing something where you could bump your head, and, think twice with the high contact sports, whether or not it's really worth it. Does it bring that much joy? And you should maybe have a talk with, if you're going into collegiate sports, maybe you want to have a talk with a neurologist about what's the reality of your risk, so that you just have eyes wide open. I am not anti-sport, because I love watching sports, and I appreciate those athletes who are willing to sacrifice their bodies. But I think that if they don't go in eyes wide open, understanding what the long-term health effects could be of hitting their head, it's just not fair to young people, right? It's not fair to them. So make sure you get educated in that. And then how can we get better blood flow to our head? Well, there's many, many ways, but some of the most important ways are just emerging, right? Red light. There's a beautiful article showing improvement in cerebral blood flow after intracerebral light, after somebody was shining a laser light into the blood vessels leading to the head. Could this be a way one day that we are going to cut down on strokes and treat strokes so much better than like roto-rooting the strokes? If you guys know what I'm talking about, when people have a blockage to blood flow in their brain and they have a stroke, sometimes there's a clot that's blocking the way, and one way is to remove the clot. Wouldn't it be nice if we could use light to do that? Light is a way, and pulsed electromagnetic fields of various therapeutic kinds, that can actually increase blood flow to the brain. And, just generally, exercise will improve blood flow. So we want to think about creating this. And if you're younger and you're already not having, some part of you is not working, your arm, your leg, your finger, your face is asymmetric, right? Which side does what? That can be an indication that one part of your brain maybe is not getting nourished in the way that it needs to get nourished. Okay, so we want to take it seriously. There are PET scans that can show you blood flow to the brain, what's going on, and what areas you need more blood flow to. So this is something that we can actually change. And I'm sure more is going to be happening in terms of research in the near future regarding this. Finally, I want to just mention again, as I'm always reminding you, that the only moment we have, guys, is right now. It's right now. And today, if you can reach out to somebody, create community, create that idea that we're nourishing ourselves, nourishing others. We're moving forward in our journey. We're continuing to rejuvenate and cleanse in the moment. Once you fill all your moments with these things, the life it's really fulfilling. And that's what I want for you. I want you to feel awesome. We are where we are. We're not all the way there yet, right? We ain't finished, no matter where you are. And where you are right now is absolutely perfect, right? We just want to see where you're heading, right? And where do you want to go to a better place, a more healthy place, more vibrant place. And if we can break down that future vision to just that one next step that you need to do, then you make a little streak and build on that. You guys, you're going to get there, okay? So I'm just going to leave you with this idea that any man or woman could, if he or she, let's just say it, were so inclined to be the sculptor of his own brain. And it's true, you can sculpt your brain no matter how old you are, no matter how poor your brain function is now. And that's what I want for you guys, to have your best brain all your life, right? So you can really use all your ears. Okay, guys, I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe so you can actually be in on these secret videos, because this video is going to disappear in just a few minutes. But if you subscribe, you'll know when I go live, and you'll be able to check it out. All right, guys, have an awesome, awesome day.